Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another Redstone video, and in this one we're going to be counting through my 10 most useful Redstone contraptions I could personally think of. These are like my go-to Redstone builds, the ones I always want to build inside my survival world, the ones that I feel are just really handy to have in your Redstone arsenal, and the sorts of things that I like using inside other Redstone contraptions. This should be like your go-to Redstone video from my channel this year. Now before we begin, I just want to mention that if you feel like I've missed anything, please let me know down in the comment section, and of course if you do enjoy this sort of thing, please be sure to hit that like button. But let's crack on, and I'll show you what I've got for you. So we're going to be starting things off today with a really old one. This is known as the bedtime alert machine, and this thing is absolutely awesome. As you can see right now, the sun is setting, but if we right click on the bed, unfortunately we cannot sleep. The only time we'll be able to sleep inside this bed is when this redstone lamp turns on, and it's pretty much exact, okay? It's almost exact, it's within the millisecond, as you saw right there. Seriously very impressive stuff. It uses comparators and a small little hopper timer as well to all work, and I think it's absolutely awesome. Now to help this video flow just a little bit better, I'm not going to be doing a tutorial inside this video. However, I will put a link to an unlisted video down in the description where I have done the tutorial. So all of the tutorials for all of the builds featured in this video can be found down in the description, just because I think that makes everything flow a little bit better up here. But anyway, moving on to the next design. So this right here is a simple minecart catcher and launcher circuit. So we just hop inside the minecart right here, press this button, as you can see, we make our way over there, and then get pushed off to this side. Our minecart crashes into this cactus, we pop outside, and the minecart falls down into this hopper and makes its way over into this dispenser. So when we stand on this pressure plate, our minecart is dispensed, but it doesn't move off so that we can stand here for as long as we like, and then as soon as we hop inside the minecart, it moves off and we make our way off into the distance. I really like this little design, it's super useful. Now in terms of redstone, it's not exactly a compact little design. I haven't tried my best to keep it inside a really small area, but it's extremely simple. It only uses a handful of redstone for your redstone torches and a couple of repeaters and of course dispensers and hoppers and things. Really very easy to build, so once again, tutorial can be found down in the description. Staying on the topic of minecarts and things, there's nothing more annoying than watching your minecart travel off into the distance without you inside it. So this little circuit right here is definitely going to come in handy for you guys. If we just chuck down a minecart and launch it off, as you can see, it makes its way up into this system, but it doesn't continue moving. However, if we place down this minecart, hop inside it ourselves, then press this button, as you can see, we go straight the way through. Now the way that this one works is actually really quite intelligent. Over here we have got ourselves a piece of string, which of course causes block updates when things travel through it. So next to that, we have got ourselves a block update detector, which hooks into these little pistons right here that retract whenever a player travels through here. So as soon as the player pops up, they trigger this tripwire right here, these pistons both retract, and we continue through as if nothing ever happened. Now because this design is so simple, I'm not actually going to be doing a tutorial for this one, because I think you can pretty much see how everything's working right here. The only tips that I can give is that these two blocks right here have to be immovable objects, because of course we've got this slime block right here, and you have to build it in this sort of formation with these blocks being transparent blocks. So things like glass, glowstone and that sort of thing, that would be absolutely perfect. But as I say, it's a relatively simple build. You just need your string and then your block update detector and your pistons, and you're good to go. So now we're going to be going back to basics and taking a look at one of the fundamental redstone circuits. This is the comparator pulse extender, and it's extremely good at creating really long pulses. So as you can see right here, when I hit this button, we get a long pulse. When I hit this button, we get an even longer pulse. Now just as a little redstone top tip here, in case you didn't know, wooden buttons give a longer pulse than stone buttons. It's 10 ticks for that one and 15 ticks for this one. But also this is a longer pulse because we're using more comparators. Now the length of the pulse really does depend on the formation and the number of comparators. So for example, if you want a shorter pulse but still an extended pulse, then you do it like this, and that will create a slightly shorter pulse. If you want to create the longest possible pulse with the smallest number of comparators, then this is the way you do it. So 2 redstone on one side, a block and redstone on the other side, and that will create a pretty decent length pulse. And then if you want to break the entire thing and not create an extended pulse, but instead create a permanently powered thing that just self-powers itself forever, that's what you do. But that's not particularly useful, so we're going to be breaking that one, and this is the one that I suggest using. If you need a longer pulse than that one, then of course add in a few more comparators, and this is the sort of formation that you should use. Now for this next design, we're actually going to be making use of our recently discovered comparator pulse extender to create a really reliable drop elevator, because as you guys know, the magical item elevators that push items through fences and then go up through blocks sadly have been broken in the Minecraft 1.9 update. So as you can see right here, we chuck all of our items inside this chest, and that will start powering the circuit. So down at the bottom here, we've got our pulse extender. That makes sure that all of the items make it right the way from the bottom all the way up to the top. And then up at the top here, we've got ourselves a comparator clock. Now this is like a self-powering comparator clock, and that runs all of the redstone out into all of these half slabs up here, and all of the items that make their way from the bottom all the way up to the top and into this chest right here. Now I'm sure there's probably a few of you who have got a rough idea of how to build this one just by looking at all of this redstone right here, but for those of you who don't, I am going to be doing a tutorial for this one. Of course, that can be found down in the description, but also for those of you who want a world download, that can also be found in the description as well. So world download and tutorial down below. Now everyone knows that piston doors are like a redstone engineer's best friend. It's the go-to, it's the one that you always end up building. Whenever you start out in redstone, the first thing that you want to construct is a piston door, and this piston door right here is definitely a very cool one. It's called the 2x2 flush piston door, and as you can see, the blocks retract from the wall and then get retracted back like that. Now it used to be, way back in the day when pistons were first introduced, this sort of thing was really quite complicated. There was loads of redstone going on, then a few updates came along, a few changes were made, and now suddenly they're extremely simple. As you can see, 4 bits of redstone here, 2 repeaters, and then 4 more bits of redstone and a bunch of sticky pistons and things, and you've got yourself a pretty awesome build. Now I personally think this design is so simple that it doesn't really require a tutorial. I mean, look at this thing. It involves a handful of redstone, few repeaters, and then your sticky pistons in this sort of formation. However, I'm sure there's some of you out there who do want a tutorial for this one, so I'm going to do a bit of a compromise. I'm sure I can find a tutorial for this design on YouTube somewhere, so I'll do some YouTube searching, and I'll put a link to that one down in the description. This little contraption right here is known as the ender station. And first off, as you can see, it's absolutely tiny. Now the idea behind this one is quite simple. You hit this button and 16 ender pearls are dropped out of these droppers. Unfortunately though, a few of them just fell down into the void. I just dodged 2 of them. But as you can see right here, the redstone behind it is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. 3 redstone torches, 1 block right here, redstone dust, and then we've got these blocks right here to create a torch burnout clock. And it just so happens that the pulse from a wooden button is the exact length to give us 16 ender pearls from these droppers right here. So all you have to do is build that, then place droppers on the sides of those blocks, and you're good to go. Staying on the topic of droppers and dispensers and those sorts of things, this is probably one of the simplest designs that I'm going to be showing you in today's video. As you can see right here, I currently have no armor on, but when I stand inside this, suddenly I'm fully equipped. I've got all of my armor on, and that is because this is a tiny little armor equipping station. Down on the bottom here, we have got ourselves a dispenser, we've got a pressure plate in the middle, then we've got 3 dispensers surrounding it, and all we have to do is fill up all of these dispensers with various items of armor. Now, one thing that I will just say is that they have to be item specific. So, for example, this dispenser here could be helmets, this one chest plates, this one leggings, and this one your boots, and that will be absolutely perfect, and you'll be able to equip yourself with ease. Now, hopefully you remember a couple minutes ago we took a look at a flush piston door. Well, this is the flush trapdoor variant. As you can see right here, we flick this lever and the piston extends. It is completely flat with the ground. And when we flick this lever once again, our piston retracts so that we can fall right the way through. And just like the last one, this one is super simple. If I remove all of these blocks right here, you can see everything that's going on. We have this block right here, which is your input. You can just run a repeater or something like that into this one. And then we have this repeater set to 2 ticks running out into this block. As far as the pistons are concerned, we have 2 sticky pistons there, sticky piston facing upwards with a block on top, and that creates everything. Now, you may be thinking, how on earth does this piston get powered? But thankfully, that's due to buds, or quasi-connectivity. This block here powers the piston, and then when we retract it, it retracts, and then these retract, and that does all of the work. Now, for the final design of today's video, I've got a slight modification to Ethos Hopper Timer. As you can see down at the bottom here, this is the hopper timer circuit right here. We've got all of the hoppers, the comparators, the redstone block, and all that sort of thing. But then up at the top here, we've got ourselves a dropper, and we've got ourselves a hopper. Now this is a monostable circuit up at the top, and what this allows us to do is take a pulse from the hopper timer itself. Now this is super useful for things like automatic farms or perhaps mob farms. I personally use this one inside my gigantic mob farm on Hermitcraft, and it comes in handy. Now, despite the fact that this is a relatively simple design that barely uses any resources, I am actually going to be doing a tutorial for this one down in the description because there's a few things I want to discuss with you guys. So if you do want to see how to build this thing, then you can head down below. So we have it, ladies and gents. That rounds up today's video on 10 of the most useful redstone contraptions I personally could think of. Now, of course, if you feel like I've missed anything, please let me know down in the comment section because I'd love to hear all your suggestions. But if you have enjoyed this video, please sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.